Alright guys, that's Scrappy again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. More cheating drama going down over the last couple of days, with Shotzzy revealing that a certain individual they accused of cheating not that long ago is looking to sue him for defamation of character. Is this going to go anywhere? Of course, this comes very shortly afterwards, the massive Scump and Hex lawsuit against Activision Blizzard to the tune of $680 million. I imagine there's probably not quite as much money on the line here. Will this go anywhere further than just Shotzzy's discussion on it for now? Very much into your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, there's been lots of drama lately on the format around the CDL, and I can imagine that it's affecting players such as Clay. I'm pretty sure they lost their game this weekend, and Clay maybe had a few beverages that evening and was rather hungover the next day, because it didn't seem like Clay was having a particularly good time in that series that they played. Of course, they got pretty slammed by Boston to close out the weekend after getting reverse rep by the Subliners just a couple of days before. But in Call of Duty, we have so many league matches compared to the majors. This year, there are 4 majors plus the World Championship, which probably isn't an absolute disaster, but it's obviously not great. It's one fewer major, of course, than last year, but to compensate in some way, they have added more league matches. And for players like Clay, I think for rookies, it's like, whatever, we're playing CoD. But for vets like Clay that have been to like 100 LANs, or however many LAN events Clay's attended, it's something like that probably, over his very long and decorated career, online matches are kind of for the birds for these guys. And I think it might be the same for guys like Assault, and I think it was definitely the same for Formal in his kind of final year when everything went to online. That really just checked Formal out. I'm sure that Kremp was affected in the same way. I'm sure that Scump was affected to some degree in the same way. And I just feel bad for Clay and these fellas that, and honestly, it's like from a mentality perspective, you've got to focus up, you know what I mean? Because you're obviously doing yourself or your teammates or whatever, like your organization, a disservice if you're not putting in 100%. But I do get it that you're spawning in to a league match and you see 5 weekends of online qualifiers ahead of you before you get to actually play on stage. Like, Clay is a completely different player on the stage compared to what he is online, and it's probably the same story for Fellow and other players like that are on his team. So I think, unfortunately, the way the league structure has kind of trended is effectively accelerated the decline of many of these players' careers. And I wouldn't be surprised if it, you know, if time comes for Clay's to as well in the near future as well. Because even as Clay says, in Valorant, by the way, it's the other way around. Their structure is atrocious. Like, there's barely any games played. I don't understand what they're doing over there. And Courage is talking on it too on Twitter. And as Clay says, though, there's got to be some sort of middle ground, right, between CoD League match oversaturation and Val's shorter matches, right? I think the more appropriate middle ground is fewer league matches and just more majors. Maybe even just get rid of league matches entirely. I didn't mind the days where it was just events, and then on the weekends there weren't events. They'd play 2Ks, 5Ks, and those would be seeding related with the pro point stuff for the events. I think that's a perfectly fine format, but of course nowadays there's a lot of push towards getting the watch hours in, because the way that, as Ben would describe it, the KPIs of the league, the key performance indicators, they want to maximize viewership over time. So the way to do that is to put on a load of matches and just have the stream be live a lot of the time. That way, you know, the sponsors get their airtime and all this type of stuff. And it's probably not the best for really anyone, but at least it does keep the scene alive. I think that is one positive of the weekly league matches, is that at least you know that every weekend pretty much there's some COD to watch. Whereas in Halo, I mean, okay, I know there's like online stuff that they do over there, but sometimes it feels like there just isn't really much happening and it's difficult to stay engaged. So I think it kind of, there's pros and cons to it, but I think a lot of pros see this and they're like, bloody hell. Like, look at all these matches they've got to play over weekends after weekends before you even get to go to a LAN event. So I'll just share a couple of perspectives on it here from the flank and also from the OpTic guys on, you know, the number and the oversaturation of league matches, which hopefully can change at some point.
Or how many matches is
7 matches.
7, yeah, you get the point. Like, they're gonna have some just really bad record and make winners because
I mean, it depends on how hard the bottom teams are getting shit on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that matters more so with like it's less with the 7 format and more with the
schedule,
team.
right? Yeah,
well, no, the team diffs. Like,
if you have people
like
that are 0 and whatever, 1 and whatever,
Yeah,
then
the
it's a lot
schedule
easier.
last stage, the top 4 world start everybody, and then the bottom 4 were just horrible.
It's like looking like it, the same thing again.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I mean, we talked about this in the beginning of the year. Like,
the schedule, unfortunately, I think is important. I hate to say it because some of these teams in a given stage are getting, you know, 1 of the 4, and then or 2 of the 4 rather, and some teams have played 3 of the 4. Like, I do think that because there is not a lot of parity at the top or the bottom, the teams that are getting difficult schedules are getting a raw deal, and I don't quite understand why we use in a competitive league this unbalanced schedule, and we use that for seeding at interval points throughout the season. It makes zero sense. I don't think it's very fair, and I really hope that in future seasons, if there's league matches.
Whoa,
You guys know how I feel about
we don't
league
hope
matches.
about for future seasons.
We are
Ben.
not fans of that, but I hope at least we go to a round robin.
We hope
after
the
this.
CDL dies this year and we go to something else. That's what we
Listen,
hope.
if we're getting league matches, they better be round robin. Is all I'm
You
saying.
hit the lead.
Matches this weekend.
Oh my god, and they get thrown in.
There's
versus
only 2
Toronto.
Friday?
I've
Wait.
never seen that.
Wait, why?
That gotta be. We gotta get rid of 7 league matches. They're
Might
running
be
it
wrong,
down.
no?
Really?
2 Friday, 3 Saturday.
It's always been like that?
And then next week is 2 Friday, 3 Saturday,
Well, why is it like that?
because there's an extra week of qualifiers. There's 5.
There's 5?
Dude, can you give me water?
They just make it up. I guess they try to extend it as long as possible. That's kind of troll, though. But
Suck
it is what it is. I ain't know that.
The point that Ben was also making is that the way the league is currently structured, given the fact that there's so many trash teams compared to the really good teams at the top of the league, means that these strength of schedule splits are actually really impactful. Typically, if you play 5 matches, it's like, well, you know, probably play a kind of a random selection and go 2-3, 3-2, make it to the winners bracket. That's going to be good enough. But now, if you play Ultra FaZe and OpTic as your key opponents of the stage, you're kind of screwed because there's such a discrepancy here. And I know that theoretically it should balance out over the course of the season, but even the 7 matches, with the way the league currently is, doesn't necessarily get a good picture over those few weeks as to who actually were the 8 best teams that deserve to get a spot in the winners bracket. So I think there's problems from either side of this, but I'm not frankly expecting it to be resolved anytime soon. And if the CDL does exist next year, I don't think they're going to be changing anything to this because it's worked to some degree, but it's just not worked for that many parties that are interested in how this scene is going to be going. But we've also got to talk about some cheating drama then. So definitely cheaters all over ranked right now. If you're in some of the higher ranked, as of course the pros are, ranked is miserable to play with the amount of cheaters there are now. Don't even want to turn my stream on 90% of the time because of how bad it is. And I'm sure that guys like Drazah are saying, well, get out of ranked play, let's go and play 8s again, like we did more often than not at the start of the season. And Simp says the same thing, like, can't believe blatant cheaters are calling out like they're going hard in game chats. Someone banned these guys, and I think undisputedly the Ricochet anti-cheat, which was meant to be a kernel level or whatever they said, it hasn't really done anything, has it, let's be honest. And, you know, aBeZy says the worst part is when they try and gaslight you into believing they aren't cheating, like, yeah, bro, we believe you, and, you know, getting shot through walls, round heads, and all I hear is good call-outs, guys, good call-outs. So this is some of the problems, right, is that some people actually aren't cheating and they are legit and they are good talents. But unfortunately, you never really get to see or know these guys because most pros, and understandably, they see someone fry them and they think, well, is this guy dodgy? Is this guy not? And of course, it's happened in plenty of esports over time, but it's definitely the case today. So you will often find that players will accuse others of cheating. And I can totally understand it because most guys who they believe are cheating quite possibly are, but some are not. And this is when we get situations like this. Now, to be fair, the way that Shotzzy describes it sounds like this guy that he's talking about probably is cheating, but I guess Shotzzy doesn't have any explicit proof of that necessarily. So apparently, Shotzzy is getting sued by a, well, cheater that Shotzzy said was cheating, but may or may not be, we don't really know. And apparently that guy has been threatening, therefore, to file a lawsuit against Shotzzy for effectively defamation of character. Now, you know, Shotzzy and Pred are really struggling to get their heads around this word defamation, so I'll let you guys experience that here in just a second. But that's what effectively they're trying to get across here.
Well, yeah, you know what I'm saying, by the way? I don't think I told you this. You know that guy that I was like, exposing? Hey, chat, I'm gonna tell the whole chat this. Fuck it. The guy that I exposed is trying to sue me, apparently. So there's that.
What happened?
The guy that the guy that I accused of like the cheater or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
He's trying to sue my shit.
What?
For name of defamation. What the fuck did he say? Name of defamation? Something insane. Fucking.
You trying to defame his name?
Defame his fucking. Yeah, bro. If I'm in court, fuck, he's cheating. Type shit. Like I'm saying that shit in court too. I promise you, if I go to court for this fucking shit.
Oh wait, defamation.
Yeah, because I said that he's 100% cheating. Because he is. Bro, he has 5 fucking accounts. You kidding me? 5 fucking accounts. You kidding me?
Is that even possible to sue you for that?
I don't fucking know, dude. Can I sue him back though?
How can he sue you for that?
Dude, I don't fucking know, man. If he actually attempts that, that'll be fucking insane.
So this is always a thing, right? To have got pro players accusing others of cheating. I mean, even rather recently, I know that Felony was making some comments about some like college COD guys saying, I think these guys are a bit dodgy. And then he replied and said, well, you know, they're probably fine. There's not too much to it. But I understand it from both perspectives. At some point, I have said this before, like pros have to be a little bit careful, I think, in some of the accusations they make, because sometimes they get smoked and they think, oh, this guy's cheating, and then they say it on stream and everything, and it's not always the best, because then that person who maybe isn't cheating, maybe they are, but if they're not cheating, and there will be some false positives here naturally, then their reputation suffers. And I think Clay has kind of made the point that he prefers to try and have the mindset that, well, everyone's legit, even though I'm sure that in the back of his mind he doesn't always fully believe it. But I think that is probably the better mindset to have, because if you do come out and say a guy's cheating, then I guess theoretically they can say, well, this guy said I was cheating, I'm not cheating, therefore that was, you know, defaming my character or whatever. Now, I don't really know how the laws on this work in the States, or really even around the world, to be honest, like the libel laws, the slander laws, stuff like this, exactly who the burden of proof is on here. And more than likely, this guy is just saying this to Shotzzy to, you know, just to make him scared or something like that, right? I don't really imagine that this is actually going to be going anywhere. Clearly, Hex and Scump have hired in the big dog lawyers to put together this $680 million lawsuit, which the treble amount of that, if the damages are actually applied, will be in the $2 billion range. So they've obviously taken it seriously, and Activision Blizzard will be taking it seriously as well. But do we really think that this guy, who may or may not be cheating, is, you know, bringing a lawyer together to put together, you know, a defamation lawsuit against Shotzzy and kind of bring it? I somehow doubt it. And even then, if it was to go to a court, or even if it was to get that far, I don't understand how you'd even really come to the bottom of this and exactly where the burden of proof lies. Because, you know, would Shotzzy have to prove that he was cheating? But that's kind of going to be pretty impossible. Would the guy have to prove that he wasn't cheating, right? But I don't know, like, he's got all these different accounts. It's an absolute mess, and I don't imagine it's really going to go that far. But maybe I'm not massively surprised that after all the cheaters that do exist, and after all the cheating accusations that do happen, that at some point there was going to be something like this. I don't know whether also this cheater guy has seen the Scump Hex thing and said, well, maybe they're kind of searching for a bit of a, but they're looking for a settlement, basically, right? I don't think Scump and Hex are really expected to get the $680 million or the $2 billion, whatever they're really looking for. They probably would be happy with some sort of a settlement in a reasonable range of figures, and maybe that guy has seen that and said, well, hang on a second, maybe I can try and pull off a similar thing here and get Shotzzy to pay me some money as a settlement or something, which I don't imagine that he wants to do. And Shotzzy would have to have some good advice from some legal teams, because I don't think you can rely on Shotzzy too much to get to the bottom of this himself. Very much intrigued to your thoughts, though, in the comment section below. Just to mention this, I thought was pretty cool here from Brian Stats, who's won a tournament with a most different teammates. Scump tops this list at 21. Clay, if he was to go on to win this year with the guys that he's teaming on, would, I'm pretty sure, tie that, because I don't think he's ever won a tournament with Fellow, has he? I'm pretty sure he hasn't. So, and obviously he hasn't won a tournament with Gwyn or TJ, I believe. So that would put him to 21. Slasher is tied at second, but he's actually already won a tournament with Asim and with Priestahh on separate occasions. So that would only be to 19 if he won with Snoopy. Then Kremp, Eggs, Priestahh, etc., etc. And then if you look down from like an active pros perspective, you get down to Simp and aBeZy here at 9 in pretty much still the top 10. So these are the games of the weekend as well. I'm sure we'll discuss them more over the coming days, but very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.